Welcome to the Psychotherapy Central podcast, where we discuss love, attachment, and healing from trauma. A place where you can gain the knowledge, tools, and wisdom to help you build secure, flourishing relationships. I'm your host, clinical psychotherapist and couples therapist, Jennifer Nurick. Hello and welcome to another episode of Psychotherapy Central. I'm your host, Jennifer Nurick, a clinical psychotherapist, qualified IFS practitioner and trauma therapist and couple therapist. Today we're going to explore dissociation through the lens of internal family systems, or IFS as it is otherwise known. A powerful approach to understanding and healing dissociative experiences. So whether you're a therapist, a client, or simply curious about psychological healing, this episode, I hope, will offer you a deeper insight into how dissociation can be approached from an IFS perspective. We will cover 5 segments in this podcast. Part 1, Understanding Dissociation. Part 2, Introduction to Internal Family Systems. Part 3, Dissociation in the IFS Framework. Part 4, Healing Dissociation with IFS. Part 5, Case Example. Like many therapists who work with trauma, I've had the opportunity to work with dissociation closely and to get to know it from the inside. What I'm always struck by is just how protective dissociation is. It's always looking out for the client in one way or another, and I'll share examples of this as we move through the session today. So part 1, Understanding Dissociation. Dissociation is a psychological process where a person disconnects from their thoughts, feelings, memories, or sense of identity. It's often a response to trauma or overwhelming stress. In everyday terms, this might look like daydreaming, zoning out, or more severe symptoms like gaps in memory or feeling detached from your body. But why does this happen? From an IFS perspective, dissociation can be seen as the mind's best attempt to protect itself from pain by compartmentalizing parts of our consciousness. So dissociation is a part of us that plays a very specific and protective function. So what is internal family systems? Part 2. So IFS was developed by Dr. Richard Schwartz, and it's a model of psychotherapy that identifies and addresses multiple subpersonalities or parts within each person. So if you're wondering, Jen, what's a part? Let's say you call me at 6:30 at night and say, hey Jen, do you want to go out to a bar? And there's part of me that says, yeah, that'll be great. I'd love to do that. We'll get dressed up, we'll go out, it'll be fun. And there's another part that says, oh, I'm already in my pajamas. I was going to have a bath and read a book and watch a movie. I don't know if I want to do that. You might have part of you that really loves and appreciates your partner, and then you might have part of you that wants more freedom and wants to kind of go off traveling and have it and leave your partner. So we have lots of different parts of us that might have different desires and wants. And these parts can generally be divided into 2 groups. The first are a group that consists of wounded parts that are called exiles that carry painful emotions like anger, sadness, fear. And the second group are concerned with the protection of these vulnerable and often scared exiles. So according to IFS, everyone has a core self that is compassionate, curious, calm, and connected. And IFS therapy focuses on gaining access to this self from this centered place, leading the internal system in healing. So through an IFS lens, dissociation is a powerful and important part of your system. So if you'd like to learn more about the IFS model, please listen to episode 5 to 3 of this podcast. Dissociation in the IFS framework, part 3. So in IFS, dissociation is viewed as an activity of parts that are exiled, parts that carry traumatic experiences or intense emotions. These parts detach from the central self to protect you from your pain. The protective parts, often called managers or firefighters, work to keep everyday life free from the intrusions of these exiled parts. They're trying to keep the pain at bay. They're trying their best. Now, when a dissociative state is triggered, it's often because these protective parts are reacting to a perceived threat. They're pulling away from the present reality as a way to cope. Part 4, healing dissociation with IFS. Healing dissociation through IFS involves a few key steps. First, we work to build trust in the system. This means acknowledging and respecting the protective role of all the parts that facilitate dissociation, understanding their good intentions, and letting them know that they're not alone. We then begin to negotiate with these protective parts, helping them to step back and allow the self to lead, allow the self energy to care for the exiles as well as the protective system. Once safety is established, we can start to gently and compassionately approach the exiled parts, the parts holding the pain. We can witness their stories and burdens without overwhelming the whole system. And this process helps these parts to unburden, to release the painful emotions or beliefs they've been carrying, and eventually integrate into the system in a healthy way with new vitality and zest for life. So let's have a case study of this. Let's consider a hypothetical case. Let's say there's a client, Emily, who experiences dissociative episodes, particularly in high-stress situations. Through IFS, we've discovered a part of her that jumps into a dissociative state to protect her from feeling like a failure, a belief stemming from early childhood criticism. By working with her system, acknowledging the protective intent, and reducing the burden carried by her exiled parts, Emily begins to experience fewer and less intense dissociative episodes. So by recognizing the roles of different parts and guiding them back into a trusting relationship with the self, over time, the parts of the system start to feel safer and safer and need to react less and less. And over time, profound healing can occur in this way. I've seen it again and again. So if you do experience dissociation, know that there is absolutely hope, and working with it in an internal family systems way can be highly effective and impactful. So thank you for joining me on today's episode of Psychotherapy Central to explore this important topic. Remember that the path to healing is not linear. It's a journey of understanding, compassion, and integration. So until next time, take care and nurture yourself. Thank you for joining me on this episode. If you want to learn more about all things love, attachment, and trauma, I'd love to connect with you on Instagram at psychotherapy.central or visit my website at psychotherapycentral.health. If you enjoyed this episode, I'd greatly appreciate it if you could leave a review and a 5-star rating. Your support means a lot, and I look forward to connecting with you again soon.